You're listening to The Mountain Spirit, a podcast of Christian Appalachian Project. Join us as we talk with artists, leaders, and change makers about heritage, hope, culture, and transformation as we celebrate the voices and traditions that shape Appalachia and help inspire us all. Today, our guest is Jessica Blankenship. She's a music historian, journalist, cultural advocate, and also the executive director of the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame and Museum. With over 20 years dedicated to music journalism and historic preservation, Jessica brings a unique perspective on Kentucky's musical heritage, its evolution, and the importance of inclusivity in the arts. And if you didn't know, the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame is in Mount Vernon, Kentucky. So, hi, Jessica. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I am so excited to jump in. I love history, and I was like, a music historian, that's going to be interesting to talk about today. So we're going to jump right in. Can you share a little bit about your background and what actually brought you to the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame?
Well, it all started back when I was a student just up the road at Berea College. And I was going to teach agriculture. That was my initial thought of going to college. I was going to teach ag. And at that time, a lot of the agriculture teachers and FFA advisors, they were retiring. And a lot of the schools were doing away with the agriculture program. So I thought, oh, goodness, I'm going to have to diversify myself. And
Right.
That's me. I'm always diversifying. So I have many hats. And so I switched to business, emphasizing marketing and management. But also while at Berea College, I met Al White, and he was teaching Appalachian studies or Appalachian music. So I took that class, and then curiosity got to me. And plus, I was always a history nerd. Even growing up, I was doing family genealogy projects.
Yep.
I was in the Historical Society, all of that. And even one of my very first speeches was on Loretta Lynn. So going back to Berea, I started working for the Appalachian Center my junior and senior years, and just really enjoyed learning about the celebration of traditional music, as well as talking about African music, as well as talking about bluegrass, all of that. So I started doing my journalism stuff, and then it kind of took off from there. And it was my senior year, I was approached by a couple of folks that was in charge of the Hall of Fame, the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame, while working at the Appalachian Center. Hey, we need some help just to fact check and some historic things that we've got. So that was kind of my start. And little did I know, 20 years later down the road, I ended up being director. So, but I've always had a love of music, did concert photography, always been that history nerd. I'm one of those that if there's a music trivia game,
Watch out.
if I don't know it, then I'll phone a friend, I guess. And I always love to travel. So when I became director back in 2022, it was definitely a dream job. And a dear friend of mine, Carl Shannon, he was a radio show DJ or personality. He always said I'm not a DJ, that he's not a DJ, he's personality. He said, you're finally going to get to live your dream. And that is so very true. And I've enjoyed it ever since.
Awesome. That's amazing. And just like seeing how life's paths take you to different places, but it also they're very much connected, like all the things about being a history nerd. And now you get to do that, but also the journalism part and you get to do that. And then the music part, like seeing all that come together. So for people who may be unfamiliar with the museum, can you talk a little bit about the history and the mission so we can bring everybody up to speed?
It started a group of individuals all across Kentucky. They formed the Hall of Fame and Museum 2002. And then they decided to have the museum in what was originally John Lair, who's the owner and founder of Renfro Valley. It's his horse stables. So, and then they built on. So we're a 16,000 foot facility. From the road, you think it's a teeny tiny thing, but we're actually pretty big in the back. We also have a amphitheater in the back, outdoor amphitheater, and we also own John Lair's house that he lived in while he was here. The barn itself hosts our lobby area where we have concerts, as well as our gift shop. And we've been around for quite some time. Once you get past the main barn part, you go into our exhibit space. So we've got music memorabilia. We've got like a room that's about Renfro Valley, and then you do a timeline of Kentucky music. And that's very interesting because it talks about the influences of outside sources into Kentucky's musical heritage. The cool thing about this museum is that in the past it was pretty much 80% the inductees and the exhibits were country music, bluegrass, and gospel. We changed that here in the last few years. We inducted our very first hard rock band, Blackstone Cherry, in 2024. We also induct sound engineers, the people behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Carl Shannon was one of them, actually, too, being the radio personality. But we honor that heritage. And that's one of the things is that we preserve the heritage, what has become Kentucky music, but also we're teaching the next generation.
Yeah.
So we've got an interactive room. We allow you to pick up a guitar or a dobro or a dulcimer. A lot of people have never seen a dulcimer. We encourage you to pick that up and play a banjo. And then we have vocal lessons that we have about 15 students that come in on a weekly basis. And then we do workshops such as songwriting workshop that we're getting ready to have November 1st. So we do that encouragement. So not only do we have this campus, as I call it, promoting Kentucky's music history, we go out and beyond. So you'll see me or some of my colleagues will be out throughout the state promoting Kentucky music, whether it's other festivals, whether it's different events, that type of thing. We have an artist in residence program. This year we've had Hunter Flynn. We're getting ready to announce our 2026 artist. And we basically work with that person one-on-one on going beyond their home base, everything from songwriting to publishing, the music business side of things of it. And he's getting ready to announce some exciting things coming up on his end too.
Awesome. So I'm hoping people who are listening, they're getting to know a little sneak peek that they need to be watching out for that. And when you're describing the venue itself, if people have never seen, they need to go onto your website because the venue is beautiful. It just whenever I walk in, it's just like it almost feels like a magicness. You walk in that stage. Yeah. It is just so beautiful. And I just hope people even outside the state will at least go onto the website and see, maybe plan a visit to come through Kentucky. So you touched a little bit on diversifying some of the inductees and looking at folks behind the scenes, but also looking at different types of genres. And I wonder if you can elaborate a little bit on that, of what makes Kentucky's musical heritage unique compared to some other states, or maybe even not so much unique, but what makes Kentucky's musical heritage stand out when you look at other states?
Well, the interesting thing, Kentucky, it's landscape of itself. You got Eastern Kentucky and, of course, Central Kentucky and then far Western Kentucky. We have influenced so many different genres. Of course, Eastern Kentucky, that influence is coming from Scotland, from Ireland, more of a Celtic sound as well. And that whole, I want to say, like Christian music, you're going to see that in Eastern Kentucky. Western Kentucky is very unique because when you think of Western Kentucky, you think of two people, Merle Travis, who invented the thumb picking style, and you have Bill Monroe, who basically invented bluegrass music. It's the first, what people claim is the first American true style music. The interesting thing with that is that he learned from Arnold Schultz, who was really going down the Mississippi River. He was going down south, and he was learning about the blues. So bluegrass has got all the influence of country as well as the blues. And then you add Elvis, even though Elvis is not from Kentucky, he influenced Bill Monroe on Blue Moon of Kentucky, how it's played a little faster. Also, we've got so many other people that are in rock and roll. Southern rock, even though Kentucky's kind of central in the United States, we have such a strong Southern rock influence with Kentucky Headhunters. But then you've got folks like Cage the Elephant. You've got My Morning Jacket that's up in Louisville, Lexington, Bowling Green. They've all got their different styles of music. And then you've got the blues. Somebody like T.D. Young, who, to me, everybody needs to meet. And he's got his club that he's had for years in Lexington. And one of the most humbling people I've ever met. Because of him, we formed the Kentucky Blues Music Festival. So we do that the first Saturday in June. With that, we always have one artist that's up and coming. This past year, we had his son, Trayvon King, and then we had TD to headline that. And so that brought diversity to an area that always years before, next door we have Renfro Valley, and it's always been known as the Kentucky's country music capital. bringing the blues down here, bringing that diversity, it shows that we're not just bluegrass and country music.
Yeah.
But Kentucky overall, it's just got, no matter what genre of music that you're in, it's that authenticity. Everybody has their own story. They have their own upbringing, but we're all the same. Don't matter what your background is or whatever, but everybody loves the same type of music.
Yeah. Good music. Just good music.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Did you know on this Giving Tuesday, families in need in Appalachia are counting on you? Don't miss this opportunity to provide nutritious food, warm clothing, critical home repairs, and Christ's love to people living in unimaginable poverty. Visit christianapp.org to give today to help children, families, and seniors in need.
How does the Hall of Fame select its inductees? What is that process like when you're choosing? You talked about inducting not only sort of the singers, the front people that we see, but the people behind the scenes who make the music possible.
That's a good question. And one of the most asked questions that we get from various people. So it's very interesting. We do have on our website, KentuckyMusicHallOfFame.com, if you click on inductees at the very top, we've got the nomination form. Anybody can nominate somebody. That's the cool thing. Usually you have to know somebody to know somebody, or you have to be in business. Anybody can. You can self-nominate too as well. What the board looks for, I hand them the papers and all that, nomination forms. They look for somebody that's made an impact, not only statewide, regionally, national level, and sometimes international as well. I keep thinking Backstreet Boys because two of them are from Kentucky, and look how much they influenced internationally. And then they'll go through the process. It takes about 6 months to a year. So as soon as one induction's over with, we take about a week or two or a month or two break, and then we start diving into it because we have right now on file, I think I've got about 140, 150 nominations or nominees, I guess you could say. So, yeah, a lot of people just think, okay. But with that, we look at their character, we look at their history, how much of an impact did they make on not only, say, the particular genre that they perform, but beyond that. Someone like Sturgill Simpson, who has performed basically all musical genres at this point, and made an international impact. He was decided because he went on even beyond music. He's doing the movies, he's doing TV specials, stuff like that. And the board, they each have a vote, and I present them with the list. We divide it up. We also decided 2 years ago to start honoring the business people. So someone like Rubel Sanderson, who owns Legends Corner, the stage and Second Fiddle in Nashville. Look at how many people have stepped through his doors on Broadway there, and the amount of people that he has impacted. He and his wife are such wonderful people, and they've donated to the Hall of Fame to keep, I always say, to keep the music playing, because they have, we've got a Sanderson Music Fund that helps with our songwriter stuff. Mm-hmm. So promoting that. So, but the board, they look at the character of the person. How much of an impact have they made? Their involvement in music as well. And are they going to be a good representation of the Hall of Fame? Yeah. You don't want somebody that's going to be too controversial, or, you're just worried about what kind of person that they are, but someone that actually is going to feel honored to be a member as well and know what it means to be honored.
Yeah. So you mentioned some of the folks already. Can you tell us more about some of your most iconic inductees and what impact they had on music? I know the first one I'm going to think of is Loretta Lynn. I remember watching, I'm from North Carolina, growing up watching Coal Miner's Daughter. And who knew one day I would live in Kentucky and would be able to go to her home place. But tell us about some of your iconic inductees.
Yes, definitely Loretta Lynn. We just updated her case, and actually, she's got a full display, a whole corner. I call it my Loretta corner. We just totally redone that here in the last year. I would consider her, and of course I mentioned Merle Travis. We've got the guitar that he last played that was specially made just for him on display. Of course, Bill Monroe being the founder of bluegrass music. I would also, right on top of my head, someone like Patty Loveless. She is my generation's Loretta Lynn, so to speak. She's made such an impact and beyond our music. Then I think of someone like Jason Crabb on the gospel side of things. The Crabb family, everybody knows about them, and they have made such an emotional impact on gospel music, Christian music, and just overall good people. And probably, I'm sitting here trying to think, Exile. Exile is definitely one that they were Kentucky's first crossover from country to pop music. And they're still in the business. That's what blows my mind, is that they've been in the business for over 50 years. A lot of people, they'd give up, unless you're Dolly Parton or Willie Nelson, but Exile, they're still in the business. So those are some of the heavy hitters. And of course, the Judds. I mean, the Judds have made such an impact because it was the mother-daughter duo that no matter what, they were still singing the songs that any of us could relate to.
Yeah.
Grandpa, tell me about the good old days.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so many songs that they have impacted. I could go on for days. Everly Brothers. Goodness. Yeah, there's quite a few of them.
Yeah, and it's so amazing. Like, you're just running on this list, and I'm like, they're from Kentucky? But I just think, so tell me then about a lesser-known Kentucky artist who maybe deserves more recognition, and maybe you're trying to spotlight, or maybe an up-and-coming artist that we should be looking out for, that maybe folks need to put them on their radar.
Oh, goodness. The cool thing with our singer-songwriter in the Round series, we've been able to bring in a lot of different artists, and goodness, some of them that have really, here in the last year, I'll tie it back to this past year. Keegan Hatton, he's from Northern Kentucky. Colton Bolin. Colton has been going on tour now. He's played here at the Hall of Fame a couple of times. He's on tour with several national acts like Ashley McBride, Whiskey Myers, Charles Wesley Godwin, Parker Hastings. He's been on tour with a Celtic band. Oddly enough, he does thumb picking and bluegrass style, but he's with a Celtic band, and they've been on tour with Zach Brown. And I think of Briley Jean Fowler. She's up the road in Berea. Donovan Howard. He is probably one of Kentucky's most kept secrets. Mm-hmm. He has done a lot for us in doing tour groups, performances, and he'll do everything from rock to blues to country to gospel. You name it, he can do it.
Yeah.
So, goodness, I know I'm going to leave out somebody here. There's so many. I'm sitting here looking up at my calendar here. Hunter Flynn is another one. And then there is a band called the Creekers. They're bluegrass and country. And I have never, it's been years since I have seen somebody go viral, I guess you could say, that what you see online is what you see in person. And I've seen them even before they went viral. I've known them for several years. And just recently we had them at our Kentucky Food Truck Championship. And then they announced they just got signed with Warner Brother Records out of Nashville, which is a major deal.
Yeah.
They're going to be playing the Ryman Auditorium on New Year's Eve, opening up for. They just announced that. They just sold out 2 shows at the Burl in Lexington. They're doing so much, and the boys and Anna, their fiddle player, they are as humble as all get out, and I'm so very proud of them because I've gotten to see them when hardly anybody was listening to now.
Yeah.
And then a few others, Cole Chaney, Emily Jamerson. I love Emily. I mean, she's just a godsend to Kentucky music, I will say. And then her brother, Nick Jamerson, I believe he should be in the Hall of Fame one day. Not only his songwriting, but how he helps other musicians has just been phenomenal, I will say.
Yeah, we've had a connection with Nick, he's also just very giving of his time. He comes out to CAP events and plays for our volunteers who come in, just introducing them to the music. Like we have folks, who might be here from the Northeast or from the West Coast. And so he's just also very generous with his time. And I think
Yes.
that goes to what you're talking about with people with character. It's not just the music they play, but their character as well. So I know we've talked a lot about the inductee part of the museum, but the museum also has exhibits and events, as you mentioned. So what recent events or exhibits are you most excited about, especially those that reflect your vision for interactivity and education?
So the interesting thing, we've kind of made, the Hall of Fame's always been known for the music side of things. And working with community leaders, I said, we need to be beyond that. So we need to be more of a community center. So we do offer classes, not only the vocal lessons, but then we'll have a painting class come January. So we try to utilize our winter months as well. We just had the Kentucky Food Truck Championship. You talk about diversity. We had over 10,000 people to attend with 35 food trucks.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And it was not just burgers and barbecue. We had Columbia food. We had, we had Boston's Way, Philly cheesesteak. We had Mexican food. We had hibachi. We had Cupzilla, which is Korean food. So just about anything and everything was there. And that helped our community because here in Rockcastle County and surrounding counties, you still have poverty, or you have people that they just cannot afford to go up the road to Lexington. Yeah. Maybe they don't even want to drive in the big city. Maybe they've always stayed in this community or Southeast Kentucky. Being able to bring those experiences here makes such a huge impact, I believe. And it's our biggest attended event for Rockcastle County. We also expand on the Appalachian culture, that we have a quilt show. I started that a few years ago. That's always the first Saturday in February. And so the next one will be February 7th. And then we started with the Kentucky Blues Music Festival, which is in June. And then in May, we have a motorcycle ride. It's dual sport ride. So it's dirt bikes, and they go on-road and off-road. We usually have about 600 to 700 motorcyclists.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And they do the check-in registrations here at the Hall of Fame. So we diversify ourselves for sure. So beyond the music, and we've got a few things in the pipeline here in the next few months that we look forward to announcing. Of course, all that will be on our social media and on our website as well.
So you're basically saying if they're not following the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame, they need to get on there and follow so they don't miss any announcements and any things that's happening that people want to put on their calendar, make sure that they attend. And so tell me then, we talked a little bit in your intro about your background in music journalism. So how has your background in music journalism and historic preservation influenced your approach as executive director of the Hall of Fame?
I think one of the things doing the music journalism, I did a lot of interviews, a lot of oral history interviews, and then more for like an album release, that type of stuff. That really helped me connect with the music world. I've been very, very fortunate to interview folks like Joe Bonzel from the Oak Ridge Boys. Ironically enough, Dwayne Allen from the Oak Ridge Boys, his wife, Noralee Allen, we inducted her. And then their son-in-law, Paul Martin, we inducted him this past year. So learning how to work with people on that, on doing articles, realizing the history of a lot of people is forgotten and needs to get out there. Yeah. And then, of course, I was doing the concert planning, and that has helped me tremendously. From our induction ceremony that we have, I basically produce it, and then other events like the Blues Fest. So knowing the lingo, knowing how to work in different situations. And ironically, I was just telling one of my friends, we had a 2-day event down in Pine Mountain and State Park with a group called Still Woods. And it was anything and everything that could go wrong did. And there's actually a song called Devil in This Holler that they released. The electric had failed, and then we had to get a generator. It was just like one thing. And so it was one thing after another. But that weekend, number one, I found out who my friends were, and that was everybody that was there. you learn to diversify and learn how to be quick on a dime, be able to be quick on your feet and know what to do, and always have not only a plan B, but a C and D. At the end of the day, if you wasn't behind the scenes, you would have never known. You would have only known about one little minor issue. That's it. And at the end of the day, as long as my artists are happy, as long as the audience is happy, that's what matters.
Yeah.
And out of that one day event, it helped me for future events, because I'm like, oh, we need to have this. We need to make sure we got this. So, but even, going back to the music journalism thing, looking back, hopefully I may get some of these interviews up online, and I need to do a podcast on that, I think. But yeah, I've been very fortunate with some of the people I've been able to interact and I've met because of that too.
You also have a Kentucky Music Library initiative. Can you talk a little bit about that and the potential impact on research and public engagement?
Yeah. So that was one of my initiatives coming on, because when I looked at our archives, the biggest thing that was missing was books. We had no books on file. We do have some in our gift shop. So I purposely have been seeking out books that reflect on Kentucky's music history, its people, and how it relates to the world. I've also been collecting newspaper articles, some of the old Renfro Valley Bugle newspapers, which tells you a story of time past, and then a vinyl record collection. We've got about 500, I think, records right now.
Gosh.
Yeah, and everything from being donated. There's some that we've purchased, but for the most part, people have donated stuff. And so it is going to be available. We're setting up a space for that. That way, if people need to do research, and that was the thing when I was in college, I went to the special archives. I went to the library to do research. A lot of times now, people just get on their computer, they look it up. But going back, I get stories about Renfro Valley from Pete Stamper's book, It All Happened in Renfro Valley. So having those factual encounters is better than what you'll find online, too.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Your generosity has a direct and positive impact in the lives of people in need in Appalachia every day. It is the unwavering support of faithful friends like you that make this work possible. Many of our supporters are beginning to plan and envision what kind of legacy they want to leave to support the causes that are near and dear to their hearts. CAP is happy to provide a safe and easy experience for people to create a will and support CAP through non-cash gifts. Through our partnership with Free Will, CAP offers our donors the ability to create a will online and alter it at no charge. Our partnership with Free Will also includes their Smart Giving Suite, which allows donors to give through their IRA, donor advised funds, and stock online, in addition to creating a will for free. In recent years, Appalachia has faced unrelenting challenges, including the pandemic, inflation, and back-to-back natural disasters. You can make a life-changing impact and leave a legacy of hope in Appalachia. To learn more about non-cash giving opportunities, please visit christianapp.org/more ways to give.
You are actually from Kentucky as well. You're from Laurel County. Tell me what makes you proud about being from Appalachia.
Tell you what, it's the people. It's no matter what happens in our life, everybody's there. Whether I learned it firsthand with the recent tornadoes back in May. It didn't affect my home, but it affected over 24 of my friends' homes. And immediately it was people from all over saying, what can we do? What can we do to help?
Yeah.
And people coming and chipping in and helping out. And it was a neighborhood that I grew up in. My parents' farm was basically less than a quarter mile from where the tornado had hit. And the concern and that people had, that it was just that sense of community. We have our pride, and it's hard to accept that help too. But that's the biggest thing. All of us in Appalachian area, we're always there to help each other, no matter what. There's always that, like I said, that sense of community. It never fails, no matter where you travel in Appalachia, it's always nice to have a friendly face.
Yeah.
And you will not find better folks. I've traveled all over the United States. People will always ask me, where are you from? Because my accent. And I say, I don't have an accent. Y'all do. but the one thing is that you have that true hospitality. And that's just how we were raised.
Yeah.
You help one another no matter what. Everybody's got different problems, and we're a hard-working bunch, too, as well. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Jessica, it has been a pleasure to have you on. We're already down to our last question, and we never let a guest get out without asking this question. So the mission statement of Christian Appalachian Project is building hope, transforming lives, and sharing Christ's love through service in Appalachia. When you think of hope, transformation, love, and service, which one do you think embodies the Appalachian spirit the most?
Goodness. I think hope. That is something I immediately, no matter if you've lost everything, whether it's in a flood, maybe you've lost loved ones, there's always hope. You always have faith. That's something I got very fortunate. I got to meet Dolly Parton several years ago. My brother and I did. When my sister-in-law passed away, she was a nurse. And long story short, we ended up on the Nate Berkus TV show. Nate was Oprah's decorator, interior decorator, and all that. He had his own show. And so they had us as a guest as a surprise, and we got to meet Dolly. And afterwards, we got to have like one-on-one conversation. And she said, the one thing, no matter what in life, always keep the faith and always have hope. So when you were saying about that mission and everything, that's the true thing about Appalachian people. We always have hope.
Amen. What a great place to end. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Kentucky's rich musical history with Jessica Blankenship. If today's conversation inspired you, be sure to visit the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame and experience the legacy firsthand. Jessica, thanks for being on the show today. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. It's definitely an honor.
Our guest today was Jessica Blankenship. She is the Executive Director of the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame and Museum. Thanks for listening, and catch new episodes every Tuesday, and also invite your friends to listen too. You know you can follow the work of Christian Appalachian Project on all social media channels, and you can find the show at christianapp.org/podcast or wherever you get your favorite podcast. If you like the show, please take a quick second to click that follow button and leave a review, which will help other people find the show just like you do. We'll see you next time.